Welcome. My name's Paul Barge. I work for Kaseya. You probably don't know us, but we are a technology provider for companies like eManaged to help them manage your systems, to protect your systems against cybercrime, and also to do backup. But my role tonight is to give you a real overview of cybersecurity and cybercrime in Australia. I've been in the business, you probably don't tell, but I'm quite old. You probably can't pick up my accent, but I was born in England. I started my career with Microsoft in the early 90s. I know you can't believe that looking at me. Um, but I was there before, Microsoft came up with a great idea of bringing a spreadsheet and a word processor and a PowerPoint together and pulling it all together and calling it Office. I was there when we came up with the brilliant idea of doing an animated onboard assistant called Clippy. I don't know if anybody can remember, getting some laughs. So there's some mature people that remember Clippy. Um, so Clippy was that really annoying assistant that would give you advice when you didn't really need advice. I see Copilot as the young, intelligent nephew of Clippy. We've come a long way in the world, in this exciting world that we live in. AI is, making us write brilliant emails, put together all sorts of things. The user cases out there are amazing. But on the flip side, um, we've got a real problem with cybercrime, and we have for a number of years. But AI is really supercharging these cyber criminals to become a lot more effective, become a lot more prevalent in our lives because they are a real clever bunch of people who are making a lot of money out of cybercrime. So just to start off by actually sort of framing how big the problem is, it's the third biggest economy in the world. It's behind the US and China, but cybercrime driven revenue accounts for about $11.5 trillion per year. This is a great business for criminals. You know, drug trafficking, people trafficking, crime in general. This is a money spinner for criminals. So more and more criminals are getting into cybercrime because it's far easier to get away with what they do as far as getting money out of people like us. What were the threats that we used to experience in yesteryear? I've been in the Australia now for 20 years, nearly lost the accent, as you can probably tell, but we used to have to worry as IT, people interested in securing our IT and our computers, natural disasters. And, we in Australia have fires, floods, electrical storms. Those are the things that we used to have to really be careful of. Now, they still exist. But it was also that guy would come in or girl that would come into the office and accidentally delete a file, or it was your hardware sort of not working. Um, Flip to today, and I think we've all heard about ransomware. We've all heard about, we might have experienced ransomware in the audience. That sort of screen that appears on your laptop or your PC that says, you've actually been hacked and your systems are frozen and you don't pay this ransom, we're going to send all your private information, your customer details, your financial details, your IP, and put it onto what's called the dark web. There's also the malicious users out there that, code is being written now in such a way uh, that it's autonomous. So cyber criminals can say, right, we're going to target uh, people in Geelong. We're going to target Geelong financial institutions or medical practices. And they will create campaigns that are almost autonomous. They will click and say, right, these are the people we want to attack. These are the credentials that we've got from the dark web. And they're going to start that sort of campaign autonomously, and they will send out millions and millions of requests until they actually get somebody that's done something wrong. There's also phishing and business email compromise, and I'll come on to those a bit later to sort of expand on those. But our governments, Australia, and we'll talk about that, Australia has been pretty bad. The government's been pretty bad at helping us as citizens and as small businesses really equip ourselves with the right frameworks and the right regulations to actually help protect us. For stepping up, and I'll come on to that as well. Cyber insurance is something that we really didn't consider about 5 years ago. And now it's something that we really do have to consider, because we can do a lot to protect ourselves, and we can do many, many things. Kaseya is an IT company. We've been hacked and compromised. So we've got to take the mentality that it's not an if situation, it's a when situation. And I talked about Australia not being good. Well, I go back to the UK and I've been over to the US. I say I'm from Australia, and people know that Australia has been particularly hit by cybercrime. We've had some spectacular hacks. We've had the Medibank, we've had Optus, we've had Latitude. This one here of chickens being processed, I think, is a Victorian example where a processing plant for chickens was compromised, and there was a huge supply chain. These enterprises mean that a lot of our credentials, they reckon about 50% of all Australian credentials have been on the dark web. So we've not been great. And that picture in the middle of the guy wearing a hoodie is the way that we've looked at cyber criminals. That sort of lone wolf working in his mother's basement. 11.5 trillion says that these organizations are now acting like enterprise organizations. They've got R&D, they've got marketing, they've got sales teams with quotas on a weekly basis to bring in revenue. They've got the best support team and customer care team you've ever got. If you've been hacked and have that ransomware note, you'll get a lovely person phoning you up, being very patient, taking you through step by step how to set up a cryptocurrency account so you can actually pay the criminals, and obviously it's untraceable. So the world has changed considerably. It's big, big business. But the reality today is we all used to sit there as individuals and the small businesses and going, well, we're going to start. They're attacking the enterprise. I'm a small business. I'm a charity. I'm a medical. I'm a lawyer. Why would they come after me? Well, the reality is that the criminals now very much see small to medium-sized business organizations as the real low-hanging fruit. So about 73% of all attacks happen against small to medium-sized businesses. I think the average cost of a hack is around 50,000, but that's not really the true cost. It's the reputational damage if you're attacked and you're broadcast as somebody that's been compromised by a cyber criminal attack. It's also the time that you're not doing business. Every business now relies on IT to do business. And if haven't got your IT systems, then you're not doing business, basically. And I think the sort of most depressing stat out of all of them is they reckon that 60% of all organizations that have had a ransomware attack close within the next 12 months. So this is a sort of critical situation for us as small businesses. No longer is it the enterprise problem, it's very much our problem as small businesses. And why? Why? Well, obviously, they see that we have limited resources. Small businesses don't have the capacity and the IT teams and the tools that the large enterprises have. Our cyber awareness is not great. We don't do enough training of individuals within our organizations to make them aware of the sort of things that they need to look out for. And we've got valuable data. We've got valuable data that's valuable to us, but also we've got customer information. We've got financial information. We've got potentially IP that's very valuable for us, that makes us, pay up that ransomware pretty quickly. So how does this all happen? Well, unfortunately, it's 90% of all successful cyber attacks because of us. It's a human error. Now, this is a slightly amusing one, but this is talking about training your staff up. And this is the future King of England, Prince William. He is a helicopter pilot for the RAF. He does a blog on a very regular basis. He blogged this picture out to all his followers. This went worldwide, as does a lot of the photographs. Unfortunately, nobody actually noticed that you see in the red box, it's actually got the username and the password of the highly confidential database that is used by the RAF. I don't think the two guys that are actually having a laugh were laughing when they were actually in their superior officer's office explaining what the hell they'd done. But lack of training is a big problem. I work with eManage, and I know that eManage can provide their customers with training. They can do spoof emails that simulate phishing attacks, and they can work out which one of your employees is, not equipped with the knowledge to realize that clicking on that link is sort of a game over situation. Lack of planning. Again, if you're a business and you haven't got a plan, please, please, please have a plan. If you have that ransomware attack that comes up on your computer, you must have a plan. And you must have a plan that you've actually run through and tried and tested, because it's going to make you more effective as far as being able to handle the situation, but also get back up and running into business as quickly as you can. And if you're working with eManaged, that's a major part of your plan, is to phone these guys. Password hygiene. God, we hate passwords, don't we? We've got so many passwords to remember. Most of us use the same password for our company password as we use for Netflix. If we want to update it, we'll add a number to it. If you want to make it really difficult, we'll add a couple of exclamation marks, because nobody's going to figure that out. Passwords, we've got to be better. Think of a passphrase. Think of I love Little Creatures beer. I do love Little Creatures beer, actually. But think of a phrase that's not going to be just one word, and certainly not the same one as you use for your Apple or your Netflix account. In the good old days, we used to get phishing attacks, and they used to be badly written English. There potentially was from the King of Nigeria saying, you've just won a special prize, or you are a long lost relative, click on this link. Using AI, they can now produce such realistic phishing campaigns that mirror exactly the sort of emails we're expecting. This one's from DHL. Of course, they sort of mirror the brands that we trust and use on a regular basis. And if you click on one of these phishing attacks, it will take you through to another page that again mirrors what you're expecting from those organizations. Business email compromise is probably one of the most lucrative things that the cyber criminals can get into. They can trawl the dark web. They can actually see which of your passwords and emails have been compromised. And then they'll actually go ahead and sit there on your email as you, basically, and watch your emails going to and fro. And if you're a state agent or any organization that does a big transfer of money, they'll wait until they see that email go out, saying, here's the account details that you must actually pay for the house transfer. Let's say it's an estate agent, and the cyber criminal will jump on to that email and go, oh, sorry, mistake. This is the actual true details that you actually need to pay for. You wouldn't believe how much that happens. I did an agricultural show with a load of farmers over 2 days. These farmers do big transactions on a not a regular basis, but on an ad hoc basis. Those farmers were attacked. They will use this method of extracting money from you in a really effective way. Olivia loves films. And this is about how we used to think about those cyber criminals. We used to think of them as Robert Redford and Matthew Broderick as being, true defenders of the faith, going after the evil people, going after the governments, making a real difference. Today, we're getting better at actually producing films that really, narrate the fact that these guys are horrible scumbag people. And if you've ever been attacked, I've been attacked and clicked on the link. I did it once. It was one of those tolls, motor type things that you've obviously got to update your financial details. I clicked on the link, and the next half an hour, I think, 10 laptops have been bought in Parramatta under my name. But if you've ever been attacked or you know somebody and you want a sort of a revenge movie to watch, The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. There's a dear old lady that loses all her money to a phishing campaign. She commits suicide, unfortunately. But then Jason Statham goes around and kills everybody in the cyber criminal world in a really, really nice way, if you're looking for that sort of thing. I'm a big TikTok user, as you probably can tell. I'm not. But this was a big TikTok sensation. This was an actor that looked similar to Tom Cruise. And what they did was they deep faked his face and deep faked his voice and convinced everybody in the world that these videos that they broadcast of Tom Cruise playing golf and doing magic tricks was actually Tom Cruise. Deepfake is something that we didn't used to worry about, but now it's becoming more prevalent. Voice, Microsoft, a great presentation from Michael. Microsoft can now, if they've got 3 seconds of your voice, you talking, can actually pretty much deepfake your voice. So think how dangerous that is if you've got your so-called bank manager phoning you up and asking for private information, or anybody. Does seem fanciful, but these scenarios. This is a poor guy. He had his email compromised. He got an email sent to him saying you need to attend a Teams meeting. He turned up to that Teams meeting. He had his colleagues on the screen. Everything looked fine. The CFO was on the screen. I think the Teams meeting went on for about 7 minutes. At the end of that meeting, he thought everything was fine. His CFO said, all right, I need you to transfer 25 million to this account. He duly did it. So, forget about Ocean's 11 and, the weeks and months of training. These cyber criminals have the skill, the time, and the intent to pull off things like this. And that means our governments are going to step up. Australia has said that in the next 20 years, we're going to be the best country in the world as far as cybersecurity. And that means that we as individuals and businesses will see a lot more pressure from our governments saying you must raise your cybersecurity level. I'm going to finish now with, I always finish with this. This is sort of a parable of the 3 little pigs. So this is houses, how they relate to cybersecurity. So the first house is a lovely looking house. We'd all like to live in this house. But this house has very little cybersecurity. It's probably got some antivirus, probably does backups once every 6 months. And if I'm a cyber criminal and I'm wandering along the street and I see this house, I'm going to skip up the path I'm going to elbow my way into the window or knock down the door. I'm going to get into this house, no problem. So this is a house with very little cybersecurity. Now, the next house, somebody's put a lot more effort into this house. They think they're secure. They've done endpoint security. They've done antivirus. They're doing backups on a regular basis. They're trying to do it themselves. They've put some time and effort into it. But again, if I'm a cyber criminal, I want to get in this house, I'm going to find a way of getting in this house. I've got the tools and the phishing attacks to actually get into this house. I'm going to use the wire cutters. I'm going to use that battering ram thing to get through the door. I'm going to get in that house if I want to get in that house. Right, the final house is the house that eManaged can actually build you. You wouldn't want to live in this house. This house is probably, looks like it's in Siberia. But the difference about this house to the other ones is it's got layered security. It's got people that know how to secure your systems, not just, day by day, but on a 24/7 way. They've got all the tools. They've got the cars. They've got the attack dogs. This is the house that you actually need to try and sort of get built. And if you're working with eManaged, these guys can actually build the house for you. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll pass you over to Ivan.